So I would say every adventure has a beginning, and you had quite the adventure and quite the beginning getting there, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. It definitely, like you said, it was an adventure for sure.
Yeah, and this was both your guys' first trip, right?
No, I was up there before, years ago. Had a couple unsuccessful trips up there to chase lynx. Well, we never did have a problem chasing them. We just had a problem catching them. So
Catching them. That's always the
yeah,
hard part, right?
yeah.
No, I know you guys were hunting the same area as Buddy. So for our listeners, we got John and Ross with us. Ross Feenstra, you're a return guest. Most of our listeners will know you, but you brought your partner in crime on with us today, John. And is it McClernan?
Yep. McClernan.
See, I learned how to not butcher them, hopefully. But you guys just got back because you had a pretty epic lynx trip too. And if people are sick of hearing about lynx hunts, I don't know what to tell you, because that's like the bucket list of most houndsmen is like going and hunting Canada for, lion, lynx, whatever. So I mean, what kind of prompted you to go, Ross? Did John twist your arm hard enough, or was this something you wanted to do and you suckered him into going again?
No, it's definitely something I've always wanted to do. And then, John and I started hunting together a lot more. And then he approached me and said, "Hey man, I met this guy." And he's like, "I think it's the guy that Buddy goes with up there." And he said, "Hey man, he's got this like show special and it'll be this amount of money." And John and I were like, "Yeah, let's do it." Where do we sign up? So we,
Right.
we kind of started planning from there. And nice thing about those trips is, you pay for it up front. So at least most of it. And so it really, really makes you like start to plan like, hey, we're going to go do this.
Yeah. It already hurt. Now you better get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really worked out good for me because originally when I was planning on going up there, I had my wife talked into coming with me.
Oh yeah.
And I could tell it was not going to be her favorite trip.
Right.
So I kind of got an easy way out, and she got an easy way out. I should say that when Ross was in the picture and ready to go. So
there was no arm twisting involved in any of this.
Nope. She was pretty happy. Ross took one for the team on that one. Decided to go on a lynx hunt.
I'm pretty sure Ross is too. You guys, I mean, luckily with John going before, did that help you kind of prep for the hunt, Ross? Like giving you an idea what to expect or what to, get dogs in shape or what?
Well, I got to tell you, my trip before was not the same place, completely different place, and it was completely different atmosphere. And
so it was trial by fire all the way around.
Yeah. The first time up there, I think we spent we probably spent 10 to 14 days up there, and pretty much had a chance to chase lynx every day. But we caught everything but lynx. We went, late November, I think, caught some lions and caught some bears, but we never did catch a lynx.
Were they running them, or just not able to get on one?
I think it was more the terrain. They were in that downfally stuff, and at one point I was trying to help the dogs out in there, and I called my buddy on the radio. I said, "Hey, we're going to need some fresh dogs in here," and he was 200 yards up the road from me, and I could hear him in the truck. I said, "Stop the truck right there," and I went up, grabbed a couple fresh dogs, come back down, and that lynx walked across my boot tracks in there, and it was still couldn't catch him. So it was just one of those things. Yeah, just a lot of downfall, a lot of timber. We'd get them going in circles, you know how that'd go, and they'd run past you 90 miles an hour, and you'd see a flash of them and hear the dogs coming. But that was about as close as we'd ever got to them. No, up there at Stewart's place, it's a really nice place. The country's really nice too.
Better running conditions.
Yeah, yep.
Similar. Yeah, I mean, you find there's like pockets of big blowdown and then pockets of regen. And once you could get them in those pockets of regen, and if you had them going in there, I think that's where a guy was going to catch them. There was other places where I mean, gosh, where John shot his was, if that thing would have gone another 20 yards, it would have, I mean, it would have been in some terrible, shitty downfalls. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for the listeners who don't know, I guess there's parts of the country they don't have to worry about blowdowns, but I mean, we're talking big timber, like tall timber that has been, just blown over by the forces, and it is stacked like you took a whole bag of toothpicks and just dropped them on the floor, But the scary part is if you're walking on it, next thing you know, you're 30 feet off the ground sometimes. In rough country, they just, even like when the logging units are cleaning up edges or whatever, and they haven't yarded it out, it's stacked, and you'll start noticing things get kind of cushy. You guys been there? Like you get, and it's like, oh, we're a ways off the ground now. But the dogs, man, that is kryptonite, getting through that, because it's up or over or under. And like I got one, she's usually one of my front runners, but you hit a blowdown patch, you will watch her drop a couple 100 yards sometimes. I mean, if it's a big patch, she'll drop right out of the race, get through it, and haul the mail all the way back up. But I've just narrowed it down to she's a really square built dog, and she's just not good at getting through the blowdowns,
Yeah.
But that's hard to hunt, because those lynx, I imagine, get right up on them blowdowns and just take off.
Yeah, just like a bobcat, I mean, they run similar, in my opinion. They run tighter circles, but I mean, there's one thing about Stewart's, it's way the hell up there, man. Like it's quite the adventure just driving up there. So
yeah. How long of a trip was it?
Well, John and I didn't realize, it says it's like 20 hours on the GPS, but you get into British Columbia and they don't make their roads straight. They're just like, they're the windiest.
They follow the land.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is really weird, man. They're so windy, and we had hardly any weather on our way up there, but it's just man, it's a long trip with dogs. We pulled a trailer. It was about as hillbilly as you could get.
I want to hear this. You teased me with it yesterday.
I mounted 2 dog boxes to my snowmobile trailer and screwed them down to the wooden deck. And then we had toolboxes and all kinds of shit on there, and then drug that all the way through there. So we brought
a box in the truck.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
And a box in the truck. Oh, yeah. Could have double deckered, man.
We thought about it. Yeah.
I know a guy. I've seen it done.
The first time, talk about hillbilly, the first time we went up there, my buddy has a little construction company. We took his dump trailer and we loaded the dog boxes in the dump trailer with 2 snowmobiles and a side-by-side.
Sounds perfect, man.
Getting through the border was a little tricky, though. You got 14 dogs in a dump trailer and you pull up to the border and they're kind of look at you cross-eyed.
Holy cow. Did you guys have any issues getting across the border?
Well, we crossed at a place called Midway, and it started snowing there, and we probably got there, maybe 5 or 3 p.m. maybe or something.
Yeah.
And it's right there north of Spokane. And, we had all of our paperwork and for our guns and everything like that. But, what we didn't realize is that John has this walker dog that never shuts up. And his name is Shooter.
Oh, no. That is a bad recipe, man.
Yeah, especially at a border patrol where the border patrol agent was not really wanting us there.
I would imagine. Did anybody hit the deck the first time you yelled at him?
Well, he was trying to talk to me through the window because he comes around and he's trying to talk, and an old Shooter, his registered name's Lee Harvey, and we just call him Shooter. He's out of house as Lipper. So
that explains it.
So, but you hunt him for a couple of days, he kind of calms down, but he definitely needs to be hunted, and we've been cooping him up trying to save his energy. So he's around talking to me, and that dang Shooter's on the other side, on Ross's side, barking and barking and barking. And Ross goes to get out to go, shut him up so I can tell him what dogs we have and what guns we have. And he did not want Ross getting out of the truck, that's for sure.
Oh,
sir,
yeah.
Do not leave the vehicle. Stay there.
So, I just imagine you yelling at that dog, shooter, and everybody hitting the deck or guns drawn.
That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened. So we give him the paperwork, and he goes, you gentlemen stay in your vehicle. Really stern. And he walks across the front, and I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to yell at that dog.
Right.
So I waited till he got in front of the car, and he was just about in the building, and I yelled, "Shooter!" And you should have seen that guy drop.
Oh, man. It is a miracle you guys made it there or back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they did not find that as funny as I do.
No.
Well, we didn't find it funny at the time either with the looks we were getting. Because then the other border lady comes running out of the shack. And
you have to explain it's the dog's name. How'd they take that?
Well, then they completely understood because when he yelled his name, he shut up. So,
right. You got lucky. You learned how to be quiet.
But overall, they were really good. We had a little issue on the way back coming back through because we missed a border crossing. We didn't know they were on bankers hours, but they were really good to get across for us. But I've heard horror stories about getting across there.
Oh, like I told Ross, my biggest worry is someday going with Buddy and getting left at the border, because he's going to go hunting one way or another and you're left to figure your own out. Like we have audio record of that actually being said. So it's like, man, I should be 100% fine, but I don't know if there's another Jason Doobie out there or something. And I sure don't want to sit at a border patrol. That's like purgatory, dude. You're not going one way or the other.
That's why we took my truck, because I knew I was getting there. If they hung up Ross at the border, he was going to stay there for a week or so.
See? Now the truth comes out, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once you got over there, how long was your guys' hunt?
5 days.
Yeah, we were supposed to hunt 5 days, and then Stuart gives a guy a day to be there and a day to leave, which is nice. You kind of have a day to settle in and then a day to pack your shit when you go to leave. So that was pretty nice.
Yeah, I'll bet. No, it's like, I couldn't imagine just driving that 20, well, you said it was longer than 20 hours, but that's got to be what took you at least 2 days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we stayed one night. Oh gosh. And then we kept just trying to get as far as we could. And we decided, there was this little town we tried to get a hotel in and they were full. So we're like, all right, we'll go to the next town. Well, the next town's like the biggest town to go through. And it was Kamloops. And it's like, it was like a bustling city. Right. And so we pull into the Holiday Inn Express and there's major highways on each side. And, we got a bunch of the hound dogs trying to feed them and all that shit. So.
Yeah, traveling with dogs is a whole nother, it's not like traveling with a pet. It's like, I got 4 kids. It's kind of like taking your kids anywhere. It's like, you just got to pack the whole stinking farm with you. And, I always try to just find a space in the middle of nowhere to do my feeding and whatnot. Because, sure enough, there's going to be a Karen at the hotel or somebody just sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. But it's kind of hard to do on a trip like that.
Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to the Canadians. Boy, they were friendly. We didn't run into any issues with the locals, with the people at the hotel. They were all real inquisitive, asking where you going. Oh, we've never been up there, but we heard it's good. They were really nice and friendly. I have to say that for sure.
That is cool.
Yeah, even when we got pulled over at a DUI checkpoint, they were friendly. So.
Oh yeah, that's phase 2 of the awesome venture up there. You're on your own if you want to talk about it. I'm saying I'm happy to listen. Just don't do anything too bad.
We can talk about it. I'm good with talking about it. So we get up to Nazco or whatever the name of that town was.
Well, it was before Nazco. I think the town was Quesnel.
Yep. So Stuart's going to meet us there, and we're going to go to kind of like a wings place and have a little lunch and then move on up to his camp. Well, we had to get some necessary supplies, before we went to camp because we didn't know what camp was going to have.
Might get
and
thirsty.
Of course, yeah. So we did that and had some wings and take off out of there. God dang, if we didn't drop over this first bridge and here's the DUI checkpoint. Middle of the day. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Lunchtime.
Yeah.
He's as soon as he sees my truck and that trailer, we're pulled over. He's standing in the road. So we pull over there and he walks completely around. And if I forget something, Ross will jump in. But then he goes to the back of the trailer and sees the license plates and saw we were from Montana. And he comes up to my mirror. He goes, "Oh, I pulled you over because you don't have a front plate." Because earlier that year I hit a snowbank and ripped my front plate off. Wow. But he said, "I pulled you over because you didn't have a front plate. But you're from Montana. You don't need them there. You guys are free to go." And I said,
"Is that true?"
Yeah, he asked real sternly too. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you guys don't need a front plate." And then he like got real stern and he poked his head in the window and he goes, "You boys been drinking today?" And John and I are like, No, we have not been drinking, no sir. And then all of a sudden he just looks at us and he's like, "Well, you're free to go." And John looks at him and goes, "Are you sure?"
Oh, what? That would get you left at the border, John.
Well, I'm thinking he didn't ask for my driver's license, no registration, no proof of insurance. No, I mean,
yeah, but you never ask, "Are you sure?" when you're told you're free to go. That's how you get left at the next truck stop. You're lucky it was your truck.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we pull out and John's like, "Well, hell, I even like the cops here in Canada. I think we should move here."
They're nice up there, man.
They're nice people.
Was he wearing the cool suit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Full Mountie.
Full Mountie suit.
So that was on the way to camp. Like this is before you even made it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we were just about to camp. And we decided we needed to pull over and take a leak. And there was like nowhere to pull over. There's snow on both sides of the road. And I got this trailer. So I back it into this little offshoot road. Right. Sure enough, cut the corner too much and put the trailer in the ditch.
Oh,
so
God.
It's getting sucked in the ditch pretty good. The only other Mountie we saw was when I had the trailer partway in the ditch, leaving the road.
And by this time, we may have had too many road sodas, So.
Yeah, that's a big deal up there.
Yeah.
I know that's what Buddy says. You got a Dewey in the States. You don't even usually get in, I think, is what he said.
You don't. You don't.
That's crazy. Like it never, I guess as an American citizen, that would never even cross my mind considering, like I know they're tough on them here, but like not even get into the country if you have a DUI here. That's pretty crazy.
I think after 7 years, you can essentially apply because I do know there was a couple Montana guys that had gone up there, different place, similar time to John and I. I know one of them, probably had one, 10 years ago or something.
So there's still hope.
Yeah.
But I mean, you say the cops stopped at the Bounty. Did they stop and help you, or just stop to check you again?
No, he just kind of waved and went by.
And
we were like, it's no big deal.
No, nothing to see here.
Yeah. And
we had to been the only truck on that road for 40, 50 miles. I would say.
Yeah.
So it was in the middle of nowhere.
60 clicks or something. 60 clicks.
So, like from the main town, how far was it up to Stewart's place?
Oof.
I mean, a bit of a drive, or
maybe?
I think it was 80 kilometers.
What you guys now? You're doing conversion, like
I think it was probably 50 miles or something. I think is what it was from that main town to 50, 60 miles.
And he's got like a whole camp set up. Like, tell me about your accommodations for this hunt.
I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's for a hound guy, it's amazing because Stuart's got kennels for guys. He's, you're really set up, man. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty nice for a guy that wants to bring his own dogs. I would suggest it to anybody just because, you're in the middle of nowhere. We had, small little cabins to stay in. They were nice, and you got a bathroom and a shower that's in a different building, and
That's
the
cool.
food was really good. I mean, it was good. So
Yeah,
That's awesome. I know Buddy has a good time when he goes. It looks like a ton of fun. But,
yeah,
I mean, you guys are primarily running bobcats in Montana, right?
bobcat,
Lions
bear,
and
and
bobcats.
lion.
yeah, and bears now. So
Yeah, bears now. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So did you obviously ran the same dogs? I mean, the dogs that you expected to do well up there, did they do any better than the others? I mean, were you kind of able to kind of judge how you thought they were going to do?
I thought all the dogs did really well. I don't know. I honestly think it was, after talking with Stuart, and that temperature plays a lot
Yeah.
to do with that scent and those lynx, the way they travel and stuff. But I can't say any of the dogs really had an off time up there. There was
No.
I have an older walker, a couple older dogs that I really didn't run that much, just because I knew we had to come back and I had to hunt some lions once I got back here. But yeah, I was impressed with how they all did, actually.
Yeah, I mean and when we were there the day before we got there, gosh, John and I were nervous. I mean, when we were driving up there, it was like 40 some degrees and raining.
Dirt.
And I mean, it was
Bare
awful,
ground.
and it hadn't snowed, since Buddy been there. So I mean, we were working. The first day we went out, we were working like 5-day old snow. I mean, you could see everywhere that Buddy was, but it was warmer. And he said, when it's warmer out, when it's 30 degrees or 20 degrees Fahrenheit, those lynx have so much fur. When you get them on a jump, if dogs can really work them on a jump, they heat up.
They get hot. Yeah.
They get hot, and they go up trees.
So the temperature is not only affecting their movement, but like sending conditions, obviously. But I mean, I'm sure the lynx are not moving around a whole lot when it's that warm either, right? If they're getting consistent cold snaps.
I mean, hell, they were everywhere, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, we had lots of lynx tracks.
How many did you guys run over 5 days? And you harvested what, 2?
Yeah, we harvested 2. And actually we left a little early, try to get back to save a little vacation to do some lion hunting down here, after we were
Sure.
We both tagged out within the first day before noon. So, and then we had 2 more days. I don't know. We had 5 lynx maybe.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could chase them every day. There was no,
I mean, it was hard telling what was fresh, what wasn't. Those guys actually have a really interesting way of doing that. When it wasn't snowing, we were hunting the same area. They were painting tracks. So he'd have a thing of marking paint and he'd paint tracks. So the next morning, if we rolled over a track that wasn't painted, then we knew that it was an overnight track.
Right.
But the day that we killed our lynx, was first day, John and I just, it was a new area that Stuart been hunting. He said there was lots of lynx, and he said this is where Buddy and Ross just were, and there was a couple big cats in there. And so we had crossed this one bridge. I mean, hell, we hadn't been on that road for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe, if that. And, just sure looked like a fresh lynx track going down the road to us. So.
Was that, you saw one, right?
Yeah, so the first one was a really, really big tom. As Stuart said, it's the biggest tom they've killed in a little while. It was 28 and a half pounds.
Dang.
That one, we dumped on it, John and I, and they run it a little while, and then when they got it jumped, I mean it went up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we got in there, and gosh, that was kind of a shit show there. So I'll let John tell that story.
Well, yeah, we had them in their treat, and we got up there, and Ross went first, and I don't know why I was sticking with. It was only 400 yards off the road, maybe 500 yards. Yeah. Ross is going to run in really quick, because I got these walker dogs, and we wanted to make sure we had it.
Right.
They were pretty fresh, and they were looking up trees.
They just spent 3 days in a truck.
Right. Yeah. They're going to tree. They're going to tree. I guarantee it. But no, they went in there, and they had it caught, and Ross said his dog's in there, and he calls back on the radio, and Stuart and I head in there, and god dang, we got ready and chained the dogs back, and I shot that cat, and it hit the ground, bounced up, stood up, looked at us, and took off.
What?
Yeah. Hit it solid. So then, of course, I'm clicking a couple dogs loose, and we're trying to line it out and trying to track it. Finally, the other dogs had it bait up. They're kind of towards the truck. And
that's convenient.
Yeah, but
that never happens.
It was just squirting blood out. It was going to die, but I put another one in it just for good measure. Once we got the dogs cleared out of the way and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
what do they sound like? I mean, like I've heard it, but in person, it's like thunder chickens. You hear a turkey gobble, it's a turkey gobble. When you're like right there, totally different ball game. Like I would imagine a lynx up close and personal would be pretty freaking gnarly.
It was
they are. It was cool though.
Yeah,
and they look, awesome. They just like all those cats. They kind of look through you when they're pissed off at you, and that's kind of an eerie feeling when they're looking at you like that. But
they ain't scared one bit. Like it's gonna whoop you and all those dogs.
Yeah, it was definitely gonna. So we got it killed anyway. Back to the truck, and we jump in the truck and high five, and well, let's go again. So
I puked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Ross's MO. If he gets excited on a kill, he pukes. So he puked twice that day. So nice. I'm walking out with Stuart. Ross has made it down to the truck, and we hear him down there just, and Stuart goes, "Is your buddy okay?" And I said, "Ross," called him on the radio, "You okay?" "Oh yeah, this happens all the time." Stuart gets a funny look at his face. Boy, I don't know if I'd be hunting if that happened all the time to me.
You must be a real good buddy, John.
Yeah. So we got it loaded up and got back in the truck, and it's, I don't know, 9:30. Take a ride up, look through these other parks, and we're coming down another hill there, and I look out and I go, "Stuart, did you see that mule deer just ran across the road?" And he gives me this funny look and says, "There's no mule deer up here." And I go, "I'm telling you, Stuart, I just saw a big gray mule deer, his butt run across the road up here at this corner." And we go up there, and here's this freshly killed dead rabbit and lynx tracks right on the road. I mean, the rabbit's still flexible. Yep. So, and then they come back, and if you say dump the box to me and Ross, if you even say, you're talking to yourself in that truck.
Yeah.
They were getting out. I mean,
right.
So we dumped on that one, and they had a little more.
8 dogs on that one.
Yeah. So we just opened them up. And they kind of overran it a little bit and blew it out down in the bottom, and then got it to cross the road again, and then got it treed up above the road. So.
Yeah. And that one run a lot harder. I mean, that one was, it definitely tried to lose them dogs a lot more, but it was just in a good spot that, if it was just in a good regen spot. So one of those things that if it would have gone a little further and, cross another road and get into downfall, it wasn't going to happen. But that lynx, I got up in there first, and them dogs were just strung out. Like I was telling Jason this the other day, they were strung out like, way up the hill treeing, and that lynx was just sitting there jumping from, they were a big, decent sized lodgepole pine, and it was just sitting there kind of working its way downhill. And then finally when I got there, it was it was stayed in that tree. So
Yeah, that's kind of crazy too. Like jumping trees, and like if a cat jumps out, that's one thing, but dogs locating on them and timbering with them, and moving it on down. That's something,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that
it wasn't
lodgepole
like
is tight.
huge timber. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Both the lynx that we caught. I mean, the tree couldn't have been. What do you think, John? 30 feet?
oh yeah, they were, probably 8-inch trees,
For
Yeah,
sure.
6, 8-inch trees, and that they were just that Ross's lynx was just kind of acting almost like a monkey, just from tree to tree,
Right,
kind
like a
of.
pole vaulter almost, like
Yeah,
just tree to tree to tree.
yeah,
But you actually saw it. That's the crazy thing, because like that's like the age-old wives' tale, right? Like if you see it in the road, don't
oh
dump on it. Never dump
yeah,
on it if you see it. You got to wait 10 minutes, and then you got to come back, and you got to let the scent settle, and da 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 da
yeah.
da da. Which I will say, I've turned loose on one I saw, and the dogs look at you like you're an idiot. But I've also turned loose on them and then caught them, instantly.
yeah.
But those links, you think they just put off more scent, or they would have ran a bobcat the same way? Like,
I think they would have run a bobcat the same way, in my opinion. I do think that they put off quite a bit of scent. I mean, they did stink pretty bad, like cat smell on them, and
yeah,
I just yeah. I mean, I think guys think that they're so much bigger than what they are because you got all this fur. You
furry,
take a
yeah.
picture of them and you show people, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that thing's got to be 40-some pounds." And when we were talking to Stuart, he's like, no, he's like, we haven't killed a 30-pound lynx in a really long time. Like, they just look really big.
Yeah. Yeah, they are fluffy.
Yeah, they're
But,
a really cool animal for sure. And I think conditions a lot play with lynx hunting, and I also think that the terrain does. You got to get them in the right place, and you got to get them at the right time. Not too much snow. I think it might be easier to catch them with dry ground
Yeah.
than in a lot of snow for sure.
yeah, I mean, and that was one thing we had, right when Buddy got up there, they had they had just got like a decent amount of snow, not too much. I mean, gosh, we were never over our ankles in snow. There was hardly any snow in the timber. In that region, it was hard to even see a track in the region.
Right.
But we ran plenty that we didn't catch. That's for sure. I mean, we run the next day. We just, after we celebrated pretty hard after we had killed 2 lynx.
2 lynx before noon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we had 2 bottles of blackberry brandy drank probably before 2:00. So.
Well, I mean, the thing is like, Ross, you and I were kind of talking about this. That's not like you're just going out to your local woods for a hunt, man. That is like a destination, an adventure. Who was it? I think it was Daniel Boone, and I'm going to get this quote wrong, but it was like, it says like, I think the 30s, like your 30s are a man's time to go out on expeditions or something to that effect. And it's like, yeah, man, you kind of hit a point in life where like you're early on and you're hunting dogs and you're just doing whatever, whenever, wherever, you're driving wherever to hunt. You might not even know what you're doing. That was my case a lot of the time. But like I was going out there and we were putting a collar on a dog and doing something. And then it's like life kind of settles in, it gets rougher. But like the need to take this trip, like that is really cool to get to do it, because it is mentally hard. My buddy and I have been talking about going lion hunting for 6 years. This is the first year I put in for an Idaho permit, or haven't popped over to Nevada, which we really need to do. But it comes down to, like I said, I just got to put in for vacation time and plan it. And if the weather's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. It might be a waste, but you got to get over yourself sometimes to commit to going on this, because it's not just the drive up and the time there. Like, it's the money, it's the risk involved with the dogs, it's the travel, it's the time from work away from family. Like, I envy you guys. It's really cool that you got to go up there and have such success with your own dogs. I mean, that's the best part. Like, if I were to go on a hunt up there, I'm not saying I wouldn't shoot a lynx without my dogs, but it's so different.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just not as personal. And
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
It's always been something that I've wanted to do, and I've tried it in the past, but this trip worked out exceptionally well for me. But yeah, it's I don't think I would have went if we couldn't use our own dogs.
Yeah.
And I know Ross's dogs like I know my own, and that's one thing that I have to say about Stuart. I know my dogs and Ross's dogs and other guys that I hunt with dogs, but he kind of sits back and watches that, and you give him his tracking numbers, and he kind of knows like generally what all the dogs are doing and what kind of dog they are within a few minutes. That impressed me about Stuart.
That's because he's looking for dogs.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We're always looking for dogs.
He sure liked my one dog, that's for sure.
Right? No, I think that's what makes it, I need to talk to Stuart and see if he does an early season special, because I'll be honest, I drag my mutts up there and put them in snow, and they're going to look like complete idiots. Like, we cannot trail in the snow. They are not that dog. I've never exposed them to it hardly. But you go up on bare ground, it's like, then I would prefer to do it that way, just because I know my dogs, and if I'm going to spend the time and the money to go up there, it's like, why not go when I don't have to deal with snow? Because I hate it, and the dogs aren't good in it. So it's like, shoot, man, if they're that thick in there, you would think a guy could road a dog that'll run a fox or a cat.
I'm sure.
And pick one up.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. I'm not sure how the fur quality would be at that time, but
right.
But
I think that's the key too. Like, and that's one thing really cool about Stuart is he leaves them first, a couple weeks or 4 or 5 weeks for guys that want to bring their own dogs, because there's not as much snow. I think your chances are the best those first couple weeks of season that a guy can go.
So you're going to go back?
I would go back. I don't know if I'd ever shoot one again, but like when you said, like, hey man, I'd go with somebody for sure just to go.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. Yeah, I'd definitely go back. The worst part for me was that drive, but
yeah.
I don't know if I'd shoot another one either, but I'd definitely go hunt them. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we both got real quality lynx. What, mine was 24 pounds or something. And so we both got really quality trophies. And so I don't know if I'd pay to shoot another one.
Right. But running them's worth it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No, I hope to make it someday.
Yeah. Our problem was too that the day before, I was worried. I knew we probably had a couple days of hunting before dogs' feet were just going to be trashed.
Right.
That snow was just real crusty. And I figured we had, a couple, 2-3 days of hunting and we were probably going to be done. So it was just such a relief. Like even if we could have just got one lynx on the entire trip, I would have been totally okay with it.
Right.
But just to do 2 in one day, like what we did, was it was pretty wild.
It kind of knocks the edge off, huh?
Yeah.
Like no pressure. What about the wolves up there? Like, did you guys have to worry about that, or is that like they're not really around? We only
seen tracks in Stuart's old area, where Buddy used to hunt with him. So the area we were hunting was completely new this year. It was a lot higher up. There's no deer. There was only moose. I think was the only thing we ever seen of tracks of moose, coyotes, and lynx and rabbits everywhere. But
yeah. Oh, that's how those lynx get so big.
Yeah, we're also real used to the wolves. Gosh,
I forget you guys are dealing with them all the time in Montana.
Yeah, it's just part of. Getting to be in Montana here, there's not really a mountain range that you can turn your dogs loose in and not worry about it or not have it. Guys got dogs killed here first part of the year. I think it was right when we got back, maybe from the lynx hunt. Some guys we know got some dogs killed, but it's just I mean, it happens, man. That's the reality up there. I don't know. I mean, it's very thick timber, and then there's big opens, and yeah, it was pretty wild country. But Buddy is right about the logging trucks.
Yeah,
have your CB on.
That's a very real thing.
They don't slow down, do they?
Up there, that's a bigger threat than the wolves.
Yeah,
I was worried about that because they're trying to make a living. They're going down that road as fast as that truck can go, and yeah, you don't want your whole pack to fall out on one of them logging roads.
Dude, that'd be horrible.
Well, and then we turned. Stuart says most guys were not real into turning off that main road, and so John and I are like, shit, it was just covered up with lynx. So, John would be at the truck, and then we'd dump some dogs, and I just run into the bush with them and see how it was going to go.
Just like free cast them?
No, we were just
turn them on track.
Yeah, turn them out on track, and then just as long as somebody was back at the truck and we could. We all had each other's dogs, and just knowing okay, just keep an eye out. If a dog starts coming for the road,
right.
Yeah.
Grab.
That was the biggest thing. But even getting them dogs turned loose and then getting them gathered back up, it was nerve wracking. And then I got, my dogs are real small, and they'll crawl out of, John's got that dog box with the square holes, and man, they'll crawl right out of there. So every time if we go to leave a dog in the box, they're crawling out of that thing and then running down the main road. And
yeah, that's not good. So what, you guys just have a CB, right? They got to announce traffic coming down.
Yep.
And handhelds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sketchy stuff, man. Because like you said, they're making a living. They're worried about getting that wood to the bottom.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
And, but the one nice thing is they keep those roads in good shape.
Oh yeah,
believe it.
Yeah, they're 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour roads in a pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You can actually drink coffee on these roads.
80 in a log truck, right?
Yeah.
Well, so after doing it, like John, you've been 2 different places, 2 totally different scenarios.
Right.
Ross, is there anything that you guys, I swear, Stuart, I should hit him up for advertisement. We've said his name enough on this.
Yeah, you should.
But to go up and do this with somebody like Stuart, where you're taking your own dogs, what would you say would be your top key points for guys to just be prepared? Whether that's getting a dog's feet tough, if you're hunting a dog regularly here, I'm assuming you're good to go up there. It's just depending on snow conditions and the ice and that kind of things. But even gear or stuff like that, what would you pass on to somebody? Because honestly, since the first podcast launched, I guess I did the one with Ross right before, and then we had Cody on, and people are asking about these hunts. So I think it sparked a lot of interest in guys. What would you guys give them as advice before going up?
Boy, I don't know. I would say make sure you have good tires.
Yeah,
for one thing.
There you go.
And we kind of went. It was the start of our season. We didn't have any lions under our belt yet. I think I would have liked to have a couple more races down here before I went, for sure.
Sure.
But either way, as far as gear wise, shoot, I don't know. Warm
probably
clothes.
Not much different for you guys. No. You're not coming from Nevada,
Yeah, we always have gaiters and packs and first aid kits, and we keep our packs pretty full of leashes and rope and snowshoes, and we're prepared for that with these lion hunts. But yeah, I would just bring what you're going to bring on a lion hunt, actually.
Yeah, and I think dog wise, I called Buddy quite a few times after we had booked this and just said, hey man, what's it like catching these things? Not that I haven't ever seen one before, awesome. But yeah. And, but he said, man, if you can catch a bobcat in good, in bobcat country, that's tough to catch bobcats I can't say that I consistently catch bobcats all the time. I don't think. I mean, I got a couple buddies that are definitely better at it than I am. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, got guys that like Duffy and Brad Schultz that run bobcat in huge country, man, and just giant country. So I think that's, and I think that's a thing. If you can go up there with the expectation and know that, I don't necessarily know if you're just going to take a coon dog up there and go catch a lynx.
Just because of the track style it takes
Yes.
to catch them. Like it's a real head up.
So you got to drive them. You definitely have to drive those lynx. So
yeah.
And that's no knock on a coon dog. Like, just so everybody knows, I've talked enough with Ross to know that. Like, it's just before people get their panties in a bunch. Like, it's just a different track style.
It's just different. Yeah.
I like taking coon dogs. I buy coon dogs all the time, and you just got to roll them over and get them to run the way that you need them to run to catch lynx or bear or lion or whatever.
But you got to hone them in to something like that. That different
I don't know
track
if I would
style.
I don't know if I would take a complete finished competition coon dog and just go straight to run the lynx with them. I don't think that'd work. But
no, you put a season under them or something.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the best coon dogs I ever had was also a very good cat dog, but I think it's just running those. I think running those bobcats or running those cats is just so much different, man. It just from the jump, and just it's such a high pace jump that very similar to a bobcat.
Well, like you were saying earlier, I think, John, if you get them up hot and sweating and pushing, that's when they climb. Because if they're skipping out in front of the dogs and they hit stride, I would imagine they could run and run and run. If you're not putting enough pressure to them, they're not going to climb. So I don't know. It's like I said, it's no dig on anything. I feel like I know my pack's limitations. And that's why I say like the bare ground would probably be best, because I know they can run head up and they can put some pressure. But trailing, like I think I'd struggle. I would want to go find some bobcats and really kind of tune them into that before going, instead of pulling them straight off a fox. But I mean, this deal, you and Buddy, like this is a hunt that is a working man's hunt too. Like it's not unreasonable. If you're looking for a guide, if you're looking for somebody to go with, just do your research. It is not something that's astronomical.
And we keep talking about Stewart, but I'm sure there's other outfitters up there. I really, after being in both places, I do believe the country has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And in any of that country where we were, looked good. It looked all the same, roly-poly hills, not a bunch of elevation, not big rock piles.
Right.
You had to deal with like we already talked about the blowdown, but it's definitely doable for anybody, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so plan your trip, plan for that expense, and then when you get home, it's the real expensive part when you call up Phil, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Has he got both your guys' links?
Well, they're not there yet, but
they're not there yet.
It's quite the process, man, to get them things back.
What do you got to do to get them back across the border? You can't just bring them home.
So you can't take them. So they gotta, in British Columbia, it's gotta get an inspection done. I don't remember what they called the inspection, and then you fill out, I don't know, gosh, John and I filled out so much paperwork. Right. And then, after that, the thing has to go to a taxidermist. It has to get skinned out and salted. And then the taxidermist actually applies for that CITES tag.
Oh, okay.
So,
and then it comes down, then you got to, like, do they tan it up there? Like, does that?
No, they just flesh it and salt it.
Okay.
Then
the expensive part.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're going to look awesome when they're done. I know some of our listeners know Phil Soucy, and he's been on here before. Just a cool guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I always enjoy talking to Phil. I'm going to make it out there one of these days. But I'm excited to see them when they're all done, man. That's such an epic trip for you guys.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And then on the way home, gosh, we hit a snowstorm. I don't know, right when we left Stewart's, and it never stopped. It probably almost took us like 30 hours to get home.
That's not so bad though. Like getting a little slower getting home versus not getting there, I guess. But I'm like a horse headed for the barn when I've decided to leave. It's like, let's go. Well, I think I'm gonna make it up there one of these days. I was supposed to go back in like 2020, and that's when they required the poke, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go. And now I told Buddy they'll open it up again someday, and they did. So I'm hoping to get to go someday, and I want to do it soon. Like I would say, I've procrastinated on some hunts for a lot of years that I wish I wouldn't have, because now you look at like bringing anything in from out of the country, like going to Africa when I was in my early 20s. Like I could have went down to South Africa and brought whatever I wanted home,
Right.
Where now it's like, I want to get over there before something goofy happens. At least go up for the experience and hopefully get one with my own dogs. I think it'd be just freaking hoot.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason John and I went and did it. It's just like, who knows how many more years that a guy can go up there and do that.
Well, and even the dogs, like if you feel confident in the dogs, I mean, they could be gone tomorrow,
Oh yeah.
like,
right.
Yeah.
I missed out on some really, really good hunts with some dogs that would have been really good at the time. And, those dogs are dead and gone 5 years. And now it's like, there's no way I got a dog that I would even haul down there to try that,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my old dog, one of my best dogs that had seen so many bobcats in her life. And we were real excited to take her on that lynx hunt. And John and I bait up a bear this spring that we shot on the ground in the brush, but that bear had sucked her in and killed her. And she was like the most solid dog ever. So shit like that happens. And I had a real bad luck with that this year. I had a dog fall off a cliff, and so I only had 2 dogs and a 6-month-old puppy to take up to Canada. So
by the end of bear season, Ross was showing up to bear hunt and he wouldn't even bring any dogs because his wife wanted to leave the ones that were still alive at home.
Yeah.
So that's rough, dude.
Well, and then it was just like, by that point, I was like, well, I just show up and go bear hunting with John's dogs, because at the end of the day, I was like, well, dude, I'm not going to have anything left to take on this lynx.
Right.
Had a rough spring.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys made it. I'm glad you had a great trip. I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures, the after pictures of these things, because that's some pretty monster cats.
Yeah. Well, they were nice.
We'll have to get together again, and I would kind of like to maybe dive a little more into you guys on some like specifics of it. Like I can tell just by talking with you, John, like the sending conditions and some things like that, you probably got a pretty good perspective on. And I would like to dive into it a little deeper. We'll probably let a few of these hit and, let people move on from lynx for a little bit. But like, if you guys are planning on going back next year, I'd love to like kind of do one ahead of time to prep some of these guys. Cause like I said, I know a bunch of our listeners are thinking about it now. And it may be the one chance they get. They're coming from Pennsylvania to go lion hunting in the Southwest or Colorado or Utah, and then they're wanting to go run lynx and lion up there. I just think it would be really helpful for our listeners too.
Yeah, I think we were lucky because Ross and I are both used to kind of the conditions. I mean, it's not like it'd be a completely different show if we were going down to New Mexico and trying to drag around some lions down there. I mean,
right.
We definitely have to do some homework on that, but we were really, really close to what we were used to doing.
Yeah. That's very awesome. Similar. Yeah.
It's got to take a little stress off.
Yeah. Like when we got there, we're like, oh, this is very similar to what I run bobcat in. So,
right. Just another day at the office.
Yeah. And a lot of it, I was like, man, this is good. This is good catching country.
Yeah.
Right.
You could see where there wasn't good catching country, but you'd be like, oh man, we have one here. We're gonna
catch him.
And there's so many tracks. I mean, you could literally pick and choose where you want to be,
Yeah.
Where we drive past, this one's going in a bad spot. Keep going. We don't even want to waste our time with this. So.
It's kind of handy too. And you got somebody there with the experience too.
Oh yeah.
Like telling you, giving you a little insight into that. I'm sure that's pretty helpful.
Yeah. Stuart's a pretty colorful character, I should say.
I can't wait to meet him someday, man.
He gets tired easily. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
He likes his naps.
Hey man, I can get behind that. I hunt at night. We got it in what? Probably 1 this morning.
Oh man.
And then we're back at work. It's 7:30. Luckily, my commute's real short. It's like from the other side of the house to this end of the house. But yeah, I could get behind that siesta thing. Middle of the day. That's my jam. I could go for that. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming on. John, I'm glad you were able to join us. I'm sure you're going to get another invite here.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Even Ross said nice things about you, so it must be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Appreciate it, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.